Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, Raul Infante, here with Taking Dish Sports, here with my co-host, Hugo Dominguez.
Hey, how's it going, Raul? What's going on, guys?
Hey, good. So today we're actually going to be covering a couple things. So don't forget, guys, we're not only the guys that watch these sports, but we analyze them. So we're just going to cover today the main event of last night of Alexis versus Alistar Overeem. And we also are going to be talking about a few hot topics that we've been discussing on social media. So with that being said, go ahead, Juice, and start talking about the main event of last night.
Yeah, it was a good main event, short fight, but a lot of action in this first round. These guys have actually trained together before, so, Overeem and Oleinik, they knew each other well. Oleinik, as we know, has finished 8 or 9 fights with Ezekiel chokes, so we knew he was going to go for it. Did not know he was going to go for it in the first, 30 seconds of the fight. He jumps to his back, basically, on the mat and goes for the Ezekiel right away, and Overeem gets out of it. And then, the rest of the fight is, Oleinik's throwing bombs. He's going after Overeem with everything he got after Overeem escaped the Ezekiel choke. So for me, he was just going for broke because he kind of knew Overeem had the advantage here. And then, the knees. Knee.
Yeah, so the thing was, I think Oleinik just went for broke. Because he had stated prior to the fight that when they used to be in practice, he would not be able to submit Alistar Overeem. So he might have hit the panic button once he wasn't able to get it the first time. Yeah. It was like PTSD to him. He was just like, oh, man, this is bad. It's the same thing. Go for broke. Let's throw that overhand right. Let's throw the hammer fist from 12 to 6. That was different. So, just like you said, knee. And, eventually Alistar Overeem got that TKOW. And that was good to see because, man, I thought that guy was definitely going to retire after, getting knocked out.
I thought he was kind of on his way, like 1 foot out the door.
Right, and Curtis Blades.
That's a testament to Overeem. Overall, he's not just a striker. Like if Oleinik is having trouble submitting him, a guy who submitted 8 people with Ezekiel chokes, like nobody comes even close to submitting that much people with the same submission like that. So he's a specialist, and for Overeem to be able to stop him in practice like that, and then as we saw in the only one attempt in the fight, it's a great testament to how good Alistar Overeem really is. Right. And he looks better. He looks like he's got a couple more fights left in him.
Right. So with that being said, we're actually going to move on, and we have some breaking news. Mr. Darren Till decided to, I don't know what it was, if he got too sauce last night or what, but it actually happened on Thursday. They just released the information today, and that's that he's been arrested for stealing a taxi and trashing a hotel room. I don't know what happened there.
Maybe the 3-piece and a soda from Masvidal was too much for Till.
Boom, roasted. I'm
sorry.
He's gonna have to get checked out or something because he's a young guy, and he's one of those guys that just like everybody's been saying, he's exciting for the sport. He's a huge welterweight. He's talking about potentially moving up to middleweight, and middleweight right now is making a lot of noise. It would be fun seeing a guy like Darren Till.
Yeah, he's too big.
Moving up.
He's too big of a welterweight. Everybody says it. We've said it. Reviewing his fights, and this just proves something else about fighters in general. That you got to be a wild man to get in a UFC cage and steal a taxi like that. And he must have been drinking or something. Hopefully,
he definitely was. So hopefully he gets his stuff together and is able to bounce back because back-to-back losses and then an issue like that. Get it together, man. So with that, we're actually gonna move on. This topic everybody was going crazy for. It was the Khabib versus Poirier discussion. It finally was finalized. So stop telling me, guys, that Tony Ferguson is the mandatory challenger behind that. Dana White had already spoke about it before the Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier fight. Poirier got the interim belt, and now it's official. Khabib is gonna be coming back in September, and then they both agreed on making that fight, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, Poirier's the interim champ. I understand that some people think it's unfair that Tony Ferguson's interim champ was taken away when he tripped over the wire, but it is what it is. Poirier's the new challenger. That's a great fight. I can't wait to see it. Tony Ferguson, he's got to get his stuff together, and I'd love to see him fight again. I hope everything's good with him mentally. But remember, the mind is connected to the brain, and he's taking a lot of brain damage, and there's probably a reason he had his mental issues. So let's take a little break on Tony right now, guys. He's definitely deserves a shot, that's for sure. Maybe he fights the winner of Poirier. I think he should just wait it out instead of fighting in between. I say he fights the winner of Poirier versus Ferguson. In my opinion, that's what you do. Give him a little more time to come back and have him fight the winner of those two. I don't think he needs to fight in between.
Yeah, so I have a few takes. as a fan, I want to see him get back in there. As just a regular person, obviously, I would totally want him to take his time with this. So let me just explain something that a lot of people weren't understanding. I fully understand that Tony Ferguson is the number one contender for the title. However, when there is an interim champ, the point of an interim belt is to replace the fighter that is actually the undisputed title holder. Mm-hmm. That's temporary. And then the interim champ typically would be the mandatory challenger for the champion when they come back. I understand that Tony Ferguson is the person that should be fighting Khabib. That fight should have happened years ago. It fell through 4 times.
And let's not forget, I was just going to say, let's not forget there's some weird voodoo or I don't know, bad luck on this fight that every time it gets booked, somebody gets hurt, somebody has to drop out. So, let's not forget that, guys. We've tried to make this fight 4 or 5 times. Dana White said, you guys really want me to keep booking this fight?
Right.
Yeah, good point.
So listen, with that being said, if Tony Ferguson wants to do it the smart way and actually give that brain of his some time to recover, just train lightly, take it easy, wait till September. Wait till you see who wins against Khabib and Dustin Poirier. If one of those guys, cough, cough, Khabib gets injured for being injury prone, I say what Dana White should do is consider actually stripping Khabib. Khabib's been holding the title for way too long. He hasn't fought since he fought Conor because of the suspension. And then an injury would just prolong and hold up the lightweight division again, just how Conor did. So I would say if Khabib goes and gets injured, strip him, have Tony Ferguson be the backup guy for either fighter, and then fight for the championship right there. That would be perfect because if Tony Ferguson goes in, nobody's going to be mad. Everybody wants to see him fight Khabib, and nobody would be mad if he were to fight Poirier.
Yeah, this is why Dana White needs to kind of give us a set rule. Like, let's have something, okay, if a fighter can't go for a year, that's it, stripped. There's been preferential treatment for some fighters and different decisions every time for these situations. So if we had a consistent thing, we would know what's going on. But that's a great way to do it. Have Tony Ferguson as the backup, man. A lot of fights fall through.
So I got a question for you. There's been a lot of buzzing around about Conor versus Gaethje, and then Conor not agreeing to the fight. And, Gaethje's the most violent man in the UFC right now. There's a lot of heat right there. I would love to see that guy fight every other month, or every month. I don't care. But now that we're on the Gaethje topic, remember what I said. There was 2 points to the Tony Ferguson thing. The fan in me would love to see him brawl it out against somebody like Justin Gaethje before, fighting for the title again.
Yeah, that would be a
what
great
are your
fight.
thoughts on that fight?
That fight would be amazing, man. That was just they're gonna go out there. They're gonna throw bombs, and not in a way that they don't know what they're doing or they're not using technique. It's just going to be a hands down, let's stand in the middle, let's get it done type fight. And I would love to see that, man. I don't know who wins that one. That's too hard to predict. Does it make it past the first round? I don't think so.
I don't know, but I feel like it would be as bloody as Rory McDonald versus Robbie Lawler.
Yeah,
man, that would be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, fight of the year candidate for sure if that gets
right.
booked.
So on that being said, I got a question for you. Conor versus Gaethje, who wins that fight and why? Real quick.
Right now, Justin Gaethje. Isn't Conor McGregor retired?
He came back.
Listen. I actually do still consider Conor McGregor retired until he steps in the UFC ring, UFC octagon. Because look, if you're in the position he's in, he doesn't have to take a fight. Also, he's trying to use negotiation tactics, just like, let's say, a Brock Lesnar does. He's playing with Dana White. He's trying to get the equity in the UFC. He can go and box. You saw some boxing videos the other day. He can do whatever he wants. So until I see him step in the octagon, all that social media stuff, all that is just talk. Until I see a fight booked. On that note, Gaethje is focused. He's fighting. He's active. And he's getting better, And I got to go with Justin Gaethje right now.
Well, I would go the opposite. It's not because I'm a massive fan of Conor McGregor. It's just because of how precise he is. People forget about that. He lost against Khabib, but you got to think he was the highest. He had the highest connect percentage out of anybody. You know who was second? Joanna, and it was by like 30% less than Conor McGregor's success rate on the stand-up game striking. And a guy that's so hittable like Justin Gaethje, I don't know if he would be able to take that left hand. He got knocked out by Alvarez and he got knocked out by Poirier.
It's true.
Two guys that got knocked out. I mean, that knocked out Justin Gaethje themselves. So you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Those are two guys right there that knocked out Justin Gaethje. That Conor, laid the line and knocked them out. Like they were
that's
kids.
true. But I know he didn't do this in the last fight, even though I asked him to. But why did Conor lose to Khabib? The wrestling. Gaethje has that advantage against Conor. If he chooses to use it, he could be.
He would have to use it to have a
theory,
chance.
he would beat Conor McGregor with the wrestling.
Well, we'll see.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, show love.
And don't forget to hit that bell button for more notifications. So we're going to move on, and we're actually going to talk about the interim champion of the middleweight, Israel Adesanya. There's a lot of noise going around with that fighter right now. Cough, John Jones, Paulo Costa, and see you soon, boy, Joel Romero.
I love you.
Exactly. So the first thing, can you talk a little bit about why there's a little beef going on between Israel and John Jones?
So the first actual thing that was said was, a reporter, I don't remember exactly how it happened. It was a post-fight press conference, I'm pretty sure. A reporter prodded John Jones about Adesanya, and he asked him about him, and John Jones just said simply, we're going to cross paths one day. Now we have Adesanya with the I killed one goat, time to kill another tweet. That was a tweet, right? And now we've been going back and forth, and I love it, man. People love the honor and stuff in MMA, but when guys start to talk, I mean, look how we got Masvidal versus Askren. That was a lot of talking, and now we got a fight. And one day I do. Who doesn't want to see Adesanya step in the cage with John Jones? But Adesanya needs to chill a little bit. He's not ready just yet.
No, exactly. There was one image that I thought was hilarious. You know when they bring the troubled kids to jails. What's that called again? Scared Straight.
Yeah, Beyond Scared Straight.
There was a picture of a black kid and a massive jack dude, and that's what they compared it to. If John Jones were to fight Adesanya right now, so I thought that was hilarious. So going on to that. I noticed a lot of the comments that were coming through was that Israel Adesanya is not ready to fight John Jones. I completely agree with that. John Jones is at a different level right now. Israel's talking about that John Jones, is everything. How was it?
He said, "I'm everything John Jones wants to be," and that's because he is right in the sense that he does everything right behind. He's not, crashing pregnant women with his car or doing cocaine or, getting flagged for PEDs. He's doing everything the right way in that sense. But remember, Adesanya knows himself that he's not ready for John Jones with his final boss comment, right?
Right, exactly. So that's the thing. John Jones, when Adesanya came out, it was saying like, "Oh yeah, I don't like bullies." John Jones, made him look stupid because he put up a comment himself where it's like, "How can you call me a bully if you were the one that called me out first?" So it's like, if you're gonna talk trash, you got to back it up. And thank God Adesanya also agreed that he has to stick in his division. Look, there's plenty of guys there. What's he doing talking about John Jones right now? You guys like Robert Whittaker, Joel Romero would be happy for you to win that title because just like Woodley and Thompson was relieved when Woodley lost because that opened the door before getting knocked out for him to compete for the title again. So somebody like Joel Romero
who's
would
lost
be
to Whittaker twice.
Exactly, would be extremely happy because then he would be able to challenge for the title again. Although I would love to see Romero fight Whittaker a third time, it's not ideal to do that because he already lost twice. So that being said, well, we're on the Joel Romero topic right now. His comment was, "What level
boss am I?"
Right.
Yo, but he's what we call sometimes in in certain video games like a Zelda dungeon, there'll be a mini boss before John Jones.
Right.
I don't want to call Yoel Romero a mini boss because the dude's huge. He's scary. That's a bad fight for Adesanya.
Right.
Yoel Romero takes you down. I don't know. Adesanya is a great fighter, but Yoel Romero is one of my favorites, and I'm going to be a little biased here. I think he could get an upper hand on Adesanya. He better be scared of that boss before he starts thinking about John Jones.
Yeah, and it's also the one way that Adesanya could beat him is outworking him because Joel Romero kind of sleeps a lot of fighters in there, and then he strikes. But the thing is, Adesanya did get exposed in that last fight against Kelvin Gastelum. He proved that he is hittable, and he fights with his hands extremely low. Joel Romero is fast. Don't get confused with that size. So that's scary right there. There is a fighter that was supposed to fight Joel Romero that it would have been like Clash of the Titans, and that's Paulo Costa.
Yes.
That fight,
big, scary fighters.
Massive. This guy, everybody's talking about him, but being on roids, you know what? I'll let you guys comment on that because I know a lot of people had opinions on that. He's never popped. That doesn't mean anything. I know it, but we still got to talk about it. Paulo Costa went and was calling Israel Adesanya a fake champion. But he hasn't fought anybody since his last fight. He had the torn bicep, and then the fight fell through with Joel Romero. So he needs to be active himself. And with his little stomach bug that he had, he needs to prove it against big name fighters because Uriah Hall was already towards the end of his career. He got stunned in that fight when he got clipped on the top of the head. Yeah, he was able to finish Uriah Hall, but that was after Uriah Hall slowed down.
That's the era we live in right now. Is fighters calling each other out on social media. I'm okay with it. It works, man. It books us some fights.
Right.
It's interesting. It keeps us interacting with the fighters. But yeah, Adesanya, he's got the Whitaker fight first, and then I think Romero has the biggest claim to fight Adesanya next if he wins, or I don't know if he's going to be able to fight Whitaker again. So he better hope for Adesanya to win.
I'm gonna throw a wrench in your plans. Somebody by the name of Jacare Souza was actually
that's true.
Jacare Souza was promised a title fight if he wins his fight against Jack Hermanson, which is coming up. If he wins that fight, what ends up happening? Because Israel is supposed to fight Robert Whitaker. Where does that leave Jacare Souza?
Yeah, so I guess what they're saying is whoever wins between Whitaker and Adesanya is going to fight Souza next. Since Romero fell through, maybe he needs to fight again before he can fight for a belt. That's the only logic I can find behind it. So, I like them laying out a plan for us. It's interesting to know what's coming up.
So, who's your pick, actually, for Jack Hermanson versus Souza?
Jack Hermanson won his last fight by submission. I don't believe he's going to be able to do this against Souza, who's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's going to have to use his striking if he wants to win. So I'm actually going to go with Souza in this one. I think he pulls out the win.
I'm gonna go with Hermanson. He submitted a bad man in David Branch. Don't forget, remember who he knocked out? Who did he knock out? The man that's fighting John Jones. That man is serious. Exactly. Yeah. Thiago Santos is a dangerous man, and he walked through David Branch. That's why he was able to compete right away and get this fight against Jacare. I'm taking Hermanson. Souza is a great fighter. He got that. BJJ background. He got the black belt.
He's a veteran in the UFC.
Right, he is. I want to see how he fights on his guard because his ground and pound is unbelievable. But if Hermanson is on top, it could make a lot of noise. So just for the sake of the division and the fun that this guy could bring and the little bit of hype around him, if he could beat a big name fighter like Souza, it's gonna bring even more excitement to the middleweight division. Like it was quiet for a little bit of time, and now it's like, man,
it's a great division. Also, just going back a little bit, I think Romero should move up to 205, to be honest. He's just so big he's had trouble making weight and stuff. But back on the Souza fight, Hermanson, he could come out with the victory. I'm going to go with my gut here, and I think Souza pulls it out. Hermanson's a great fighter. He is very exciting, and his submission game is up there. And I'd have to go back and do some research. I don't know how good Souza is off his back, in the UFC. Being a BJJ black belt, obviously he's great, but when you involve the strikes, et cetera, it becomes a whole different game.
Okay, so just real quick, who has the better ground and pound, Khabib Nurmagomedov or Jack Hermanson that claimed he had the best one?
I'm gonna go with Khabib.
All right.
Yeah, he's undefeated for a reason,
Right. And now we're actually gonna
there's a couple other fights on that card we want to talk about, right? So we got Greg Hardy's coming up fighting his opponent Dimitri. I don't know very well. I think they're just throwing somebody out there to try to make it easy for Hardy. I'm not saying anything bad about Dimitri, but I'm not going to make a prediction on this fight. I just hope Greg Hardy can get through the whole fight without getting DQ'd and no mistakes.
Listen, Greg Hardy's a big name fighter. They put a fighter there so he could win. This man doesn't even have a picture of the guy that he's fighting. I don't even know who he's fighting. So Greg Hardy's going to win that fight. Oliveira versus Mike Perry. Quickly pick.
I'm going to go with Cowboy Oliveira.
I'll pick Mike Perry. He needs a W ASAP.
He does need it, but I don't think he's gonna get it. Oliveira is a great.
Listen, his
great
blonde
fighter.
girlfriend is not in his corner anymore, so he's
that
gonna
does
do better.
make a huge difference.
Right.
He's been fighting better since.
Right, exactly, and he needs a bounce back win after that Donald Cerrone submission. So
I think he's gonna get killed by another cowboy now.
Oh snap! I didn't even think of that. All right, well, hopefully he brings his A game. So, hey guys, that wraps it up for today. Hopefully you guys tune in. Don't forget, we're not only the guys that watch these sports, but we analyze them. We're your host Raul Infante and your co-host Hugo Dominguez.
Thanks for watching, guys.